talking about technicalities in terms of territory that would be given up?
Well, what I'm saying, what I'm saying is that a ceasefire involves how to get people to not be fighting with each other over a 2,000-kilometer border. That's 1,200 miles.
Right.
Nor does that include a main area of confrontation, which is Kursk. And so there's different battlefield conditions. We've got to discuss that. There are regions that we all know the Russians are focused on. There is a nuclear reactor that supplies quite a bit of electricity to the country of Ukraine. That's got to be dealt with. There's access to ports. There's the Black Sea potential agreement. There's so many elements, Margaret, to the implementation of a ceasefire here. And I compare it sometimes to Gaza. Gaza is a finite, defined space as compared to the battle where the battle is being fought in Ukraine, Russia. So this is a much more complicated situation, and yet no one's throwing their hands up in the air. What they're doing is they're digging in, and everybody is committed, all stakeholders, including the Europeans, to doing everything we need to do to get to a successful resolution here.
You mentioned Gaza. I want to ask you what specifics you are looking at when it comes to relocating the 2 million Palestinians in Gaza. In the past, you've mentioned Egypt, you've mentioned Jordan. Are you talking to other countries at this point about resettling?
I mean, I think we're exploring, Margaret, all alternatives and options that leads to a better life for Gazans, and, by the way, for the people of Israel. So we're exploring all of those things. But right now, what's right in front of us is coming to some sort of resolution on this conflict. And the recent experience that we had at the Arab Summit, where we spent 7.5 hours with leaders of various Arab countries, the recent experience we had with Hamas's response was not encouraging. Now, to me, we put a very sensible proposal on the table that was intended as a bridge to get to a final discussion and final resolution here that would have incorporated some sort of demilitarization of Hamas, which must happen. That's a red line for the Israelis, and maybe could have led to a long-term peace resolution here. And yet Hamas came up with their own construct, essentially disavowed what we discussed.
Yeah.
And to my mind, that was a pretty poor ending. And I hope they reconsider, because the alternative is not so good for them.
Understood. Ambassador Witkoff, thank you for your time today. We'll be back with more Face the Nation.